I think we are ready to. Is there anything else we need to do before getting started?
Nope.
Okay. Good afternoon. We are here for the Waco MPO's public informational meeting regarding pavement and bridge targets. Here in this room with me is Annette Polk, Senior Planner with Waco MPO. I'm Mukesh Kumar with the Waco MPO, and we also have Daniela Gallegos online managing our recording and the Zoom meeting. Welcome. So this meeting is to provide information about the pavement and bridge targets that we set every 4 years, and we revise them every 2 years. In today's meeting, we will discuss who we are as the MPO, and we will also talk about the transportation performance management process that we typically engage in, and we'll review this year's or this period's TxDOT's bridge and pavement condition targets. And we'll also discuss all the opportunities for public comments and what we do with them, how we collect them, and also how we process them for the discussions and deliberations during our technical advisory committee, as well as policy board meetings. So the first question for us is who we are at the MPO. What do we do? Our main goal is to provide a regional process whereby we could discuss the long-term priorities related to transportation and mobility. We typically, a typical process looks like prioritizing regionally significant projects that could be associated with realistic funding strategies. All of our planning and programming activities are financially constrained. That means that all the decisions we make, they have to have some realistic possibility that they can potentially be funded. We also decide on how federal highway and the transit funds are going to be used within the Waco region, and we assist the local government in identifying the priorities according to both the FAST Act requirements as well as now currently planning emphasis areas under the new Infrastructure and Jobs Act. But the most importantly, we guide how the future transportation network is going to look and how it is going to function for our region and whether it serves the regional priorities or not. All MPOs are required. MPOs are required by the Federal Highway Administration for all areas, all urban areas that have a population of over 50,000 people. We were created in 1974, and we have a 20-member policy board that is the guiding entity that gives us direction on the decisions to make and make the final decisions on all the programs and plans. We also have a technical advisory committee, which considers all the considerations for the policy board prior to their meeting, prior to their decisions. And it is our technical advisory committee is represented by most people who make day-to-day practical and technical decisions at all the municipalities as well as TxDOT district. We also have a coordination and consensus building role in which we try to figure out how the transportation projects advance our regional vision that all the constituent governments put together. So now we will move to transportation performance management. So as part of the planning process, which is with a feedback loop in which we begin with regional vision and goals, and we go through alternate improvement strategies, evaluation, prioritization, and we go down this list. But it also has a feedback loop in which the system operations are measured, and we typically measure them on safety, condition of the system, as well as reliability of roadways and transit. And that feedback then goes into redefining what the regional vision goals are, evaluating whether our current processes, in fact, deliver those kinds of systems that we expect to happen or not. And we make adjustments accordingly. on the right-hand side of the slide, you can see how the strategic planning is what determines the regional vision and the values. We typically look at the mobility improvement strategy as part of our evaluation. And then we produce the long-range plan, our MTP, and we are currently in the process of developing the 2050 MTP. And the 23-26 Transportation Improvement Program is what we will be undertaking very soon. And our discussion today is going to influence our MTP, next MTP, as well as TIP. So what exactly is a transportation performance management? It's a strategic approach that uses goals, measures, and data so that we can make decisions on the investment choices we make related to transportation funding. It is required through the Fixing America's Surface Transportation Act, and you'll hear us speak about FAST Act. That's what we mean by that. And the FAST Act set these performance targets, which we typically evaluate. And the goal of this target setting is to ensure that we understand what the performance of the national transport system is, and at the same time, what can we do to make it better. And we typically look at two different sets of things. One is the focus on efficient delivery of goods, mostly freight. And then we also look at the safe, reliable journeys to work, schools, shopping, and community activities. Largely, all the mobility requirements that an average household has on a daily basis is the second part of our planning process. We like to make performance-based decision, and this process involves, as I explained in the previous planning process visual, that today's performance measure is going to end up influencing how the vision and the goals are set and how the decision-making process responds to the targets we set. So the long-range transportation plan, as well as short-range implementation programs, are going to be developed, which will demonstrate how these performance-based decisions relate back to our decision choices, evaluation, and the criteria and prioritization. So the 5 performance targets that we typically consider for a non-TMA MPO are roadway safety, pavement, bridge and condition, travel time reliability, public transportation asset condition, and public transportation safety. Of these, 4 have already been set for the current year. And today we are meeting to discuss the pavement and bridge condition targets. So first, let's give an overview of what these targets are and what state of good repairs look like. So both Federal Highway Administration and state DOTs define the state of good repair to ensure safety of the traveling public and also ensuring that preservation and maintenance needs to be done on a longer term basis using paying attention to operations and life cycle costs. It also ensures effective long-term operation, and at the same time, it does all of this through a transportation asset management that is data-driven, and it is performance-based decision-making. So what it does is it allows us to make interventions into the asset's life cycle in a manner to not only extend the life cycle of a particular project or a particular asset, but also allows us to make decisions at the appropriate time so that it can be cost effective. Typically, the condition tracking is a federal requirement for all states and the MPOs. And as part of the national highway system, we typically look at the interstates and the non-interstates, which are other freeways. Some of them are principal arterials about what their conditions look like and the kinds of interventions we need based on the targets we set. Here's a map of the interstate highway, which is the only interstate that passes through our planning area. And the other non-interstate highways that exist are US 77 between I-35 up to Falls County line, US 84 that runs from State Highway 31 to Coryell County line, State Highway 6, State Highway 31, Loop 340, and Loop 484. These are all the roads on which we collect data, and this is what we are discussing today. So tracking the pavement condition is typically done based on distress and also on roughness. So what we look at distress through rut occurrence and also surface deterioration, which can mean cracking, patching, or failures. And the ride quality is typically what we measure through roughness index. And there is a standard international roughness index on which we collect data on half-mile segment annually. And after that, we combine the surface defect and the ride quality score, adjusting for traffic and speed, and to come up with a score from 1 to 100, in which poor is classified as any score less than 50, fair is considered 50 to 69, and all the scores above 70 are considered good. Based on this, let's talk about bridges first before we move further with pavement. So bridge condition would typically look at 3 items. One is the bridge deck itself, the superstructure and the substructure, which typically means the area underneath the bridge. And the bridge condition score ranges from 0 to 9, in which anything below 4 is considered poor, 5 or 6 are considered fair, and anything above is considered good. Good essentially means no sign or very minor signs of deterioration. Fair means that there are that the bridge is beginning to exhibit signs that need to be addressed soon. And poor means that it currently exhibits signs of advanced deterioration, and it needs to be addressed immediately. So the performance period for which we look at these data are, so currently we are in the process of evaluating the 2018 to 2022 and considering the targets for 2022 to 2025. The first set of targets were required in 2018, according to FASTAC. And the 4-year statewide targets were set in 2018. We did a mid-performance period progress report in 2020, and which resulted in some adjustment to the target. And at the end of the period assessment, which is what we're undertaking today, in 2022, there is an executive summary of it provided in the meeting packet. So today we are considering the new performance period and setting the target for the period of 2022 to 2025. The assessment of the TxDOT's new 2-year and 4-year targets is what we are considering. And we set it in 2022, that is pending Federal Highway Administration's review. And all MPOs have 180 days to consider the targets, revise them, or set new regional targets, or affirm their support to it. So these are the targets that TxDOT has offered. And to jump ahead slightly, we think that these are very reasonable targets, and in fact good targets, and the MPO sees value in affirming these targets. First, the National Highway System interstate pavement, 64.5 is the current that is considered good, and we expect in 4 years to be 63.6%, and the poor to go from 0.2%, which is negligible, and thereby we can say that these are still fairly robust and rigorous targets with which we expect good quality interstate pavements. Non-interstate NHS system pavements, we expect it to be 46% at good compared to 51% today, and 1.5% to be poor compared to 1.3%. Again, the percentages that are considered poor are so minimal that it is really difficult to improve any further on them. And these are all to suggest that we in fact have a target that is not only realistic, but is a very positive target. For bridges, we expect the good to be 47.6% and the poor to stay at 1.5%. And to reiterate for similar sentiment for the bridges as well, that the poor ratings are really difficult to improve any further. And these are again rigorous and robust targets that we think is worthy of support. So the pavement condition for all roadways in Waco area, again, on the same metrics of roughness, cracking, and rutting or faulting, we noticed that 7% rated good, 11% are rated poor, 4% on cracking are rated good, 1% at poor, 1% poor at rutting, 37% good, and for faulting, 20% good and 14% poor. Again, largely speaking, these numbers are not as good as on-system highways, but these are still fairly good condition report. The next item is to summarize the Waco area pavements that we noticed 60.9% of all the National Highway System pavement are in good condition, 4.5% in poor condition, 38.5% of non-National Highway System are in good condition, and only 0.7% of non-NHS pavements are in poor condition. So the targets we're setting for good is 63.6, and National Highway System poor 0.2%. For us, that's I-35. And NHS good is 46% and non-poor at 1.5%. So the takeaways from this is that currently we have 60.9% of I-35 that runs through McLennan County at 60.9% that is considered good. We expect it to be 63.6% in 4 years. In poor condition at 4.5%, and we expect it to be below 0.2%, and that reflects the current construction as well as what we expect over the next 4 years. Non-NHS in good condition, currently we are at 38.5%. We expect it to go up to 46%. And in poor condition from 0.7%, we expect it to be 1.5% in 4 years. Now let's talk about bridges. In bridges, we only have information on the National Highway System data. And so what it means is that compared to everything in yellow is considered fair, green is good, and everything in red toward the bottom of the graph is considered poor. And we noticed that the poor condition bridges represented 2.1% in 2012. In 2022, it was 3.2%. Again, these numbers are very good. So this is to suggest that as far as maintenance of most of our assets, bridges and pavement by TxDOT is considered, it's done quite well. And so we noticed that good condition bridges are at 47.3%, poor condition 3.2%, and very poor national highway bridges are 0%. Our expectation for good condition for TxDOT is 47.6 and poor condition 1.5. Again, this is based on the excellent work that TxDOT does at maintaining the roadway and the bridges assets. So the takeaways for the bridges is that about 50% of bridges in Waco area are in good condition, 3% are in poor condition. None of the bridges on the National Highway System in McLennan County are currently in poor condition, and we expect to meet the target for the current performance period. Our staff recommendation for the targets is that we think that these targets are robust and rigorous and reasonable and quite positive. And so we are recommending supporting the TxDOT's 2-year and 4-year bridge condition performance targets. After today, after evaluating the support for these condition performance, we'll present it to the policy board in April. So for public comment opportunities, our public comment period is from March 20th, which begins today, until March 29th. Today is the meeting at 12 o'clock, and we will record and put this video recording on our website for view, and the comment cards are available in person as well as online. And we expect to receive formal comments from anyone concerned. And then we will take these comments and present them initially to the Technical Advisory Committee for their consideration during their meeting on April 6th. And they will consider public input along with the MPO staff recommendation. And after that, we'll hold a public hearing and present the public comments for the policy board to take formal action on April 20th, Thursday. So if you have any questions or comments, our phone number is 254-750-5650. And you can also email us at npo@wacotexas.gov. We also have started presenting our information, some of our meeting updates on LinkedIn, and you can also message us on Facebook at City of Waco, Texas. Your comments can be accepted in any language, and the comment cards are there on MPO website in the Get Involved section. Or you can also call us and we'll be happy to send you the information. Here our contact again, 254-750-5653. And if there is no comment or question, this concludes our presentation. Thank you. Daniela, do you know if there is any comment?
No comment.
Then we will close the public information meeting. And we hope to hear from everyone soon. Thank you very much. Should we